Hi, everyone. My name is Jeannie Doherty, and my clients call me the Money Whisperer. And the reason that I decided to create this podcast is I wanted to talk and share more about what is going on behind the scenes for lots of couples. And I'm very excited today about today's guest because she is a networking specialist, genius, just a strategist, whisperer, if you will. Because a lot of times when we're networking, we don't realize it, but we are absolutely moving towards a relationship. And if it's a good relationship, it'll be a long lasting one. So sometimes networking is like dating, which might be terrifying for some of you, but it is a crucial step in your business if you want to grow it in any way, shape, or form, because it doesn't matter if you're service based or product based. You're eventually going to have to talk to your customers. You're going to definitely have to talk to your vendors. So those type of people skills are absolutely vital. So I want to get started today with Grace, and I want to talk to her about, since you are a networking specialist, you are somebody who absolutely has the strategic, understanding of what is it going to take. Can you share more about what led you to saying, you know what? I'm not going to do this corporate thing anymore. I am going to step out and decide to create my own business.
Yeah, so when I was working in the corporate world, I went through a burnout, as so many people in the corporate world do. But I think what caused me to burn out is that I was working with people and running workshops for a consultancy and for their clients.
Yes.
But I wasn't really focused on actually helping people develop their own skills and their own confidence. It was more focused on strategy, business strategy problems. And I've always loved helping individuals, like people, to improve themselves and become better. So I burnt out for lots of different reasons. But when I was taking some time away from work, I thought, what is the thing that actually makes me feel like really excited and really motivated? And I just kept on coming back to this idea of I've always loved helping someone to be able to present themselves more confidently and to be able to communicate in a more confident way. And so I decided that I was kind of at a crossroads point in my life where I thought, if I don't try and set something up off my own back now, then I don't know when I'm going to get the opportunity to. So I took the leap of faith and I quit my corporate job, and I actually started out as a presentation skills workshop facilitator because I'd found this dream of helping people communicate and present themselves differently.
Love it.
But I started networking straight away. And it was actually through going to networking meetings that I realized, people don't actually know how to pitch their businesses or present their businesses with real confidence. And that's, even though all these people are doing networking, it's actually not really converting into anything beyond just having some nice conversations. So it was then through doing networking and seeing people and seeing them struggle, that it made me think, actually, maybe I can take the thing that I love and the skills that I have around presenting and apply it to business owners and to networking.
Chris, I love this story that you were like, hey, I was all about the, if you will, the hard skills, about here's what you need to do when you look at your marketing strategy, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then you realized, oh, but if you walk in the room as you, representing a business, which could still be you or, said company X, Y, and Z, and you don't look like you are what I would use the phrase moneymaker, then why would anyone want to invest with you? Now, did that happen to you? Were you like earlier in your career, a little nervous, a little shy, a little?
Oh, yeah. Yes. The short answer is yes, absolutely. I remember when I first started networking, one of the first meetings I went to, because I was so used to the corporate world, I put on my grey corporate blazer, and I bought a special pink lipstick, even though back then I never wore lipstick, but I was like, oh God, I've got to look really professional. I'm like a businesswoman now.
Wow.
And I went into this meeting, and although the people in the room were lovely, I was so intimidated. I had to stand up and give a pitch about my business, and I had no idea what to say. So I just kind of listed off basically a summarized version of my CV, sat down again, spent the whole time thinking, oh my God, everyone knows what they're doing and I've got literally no idea, and kind of hoped that maybe someone would be able to give me some work, which they didn't. And that experience, that went on, that basically happened every month for about my first 9 months of networking. Like, it really took me a long time to stop feeling so afraid, and to know, and to know and to work out what I was doing wrong, really.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, I know there's a need to get a strategic partnership. I mean, that's really the reason we go into networking, is to be like, oh, Grace, let me introduce you to the following people. Or, you might say, Jeannie, oh my gosh, I know somebody who's looking, they're having issues in their whatever, in their relationship, and they have been looking for somebody because they're trying to figure out what to do, not just with the money, but with their relationship. It's like, yeah, that's me. So there's always a need for strategic partnerships in business, but also in personal life. But what leads people to building the relationships with the wrong people? Because I see this all the time myself, and I'm like, why would you have done that to that person? And they just told you that isn't really your market, and they go off and off.
I think from a networking perspective, it always happens when there isn't enough clarity. So if you are running a business and you are not clear enough on exactly who it is that you want to work with and how you're going to help them, you can get pulled in so many different directions. Because when you're networking, you're meeting loads of different types of people, and it's so common to get chatting to someone in a networking meeting and think, oh my god, we've got so much in common, we should try and do something together, let's run a workshop together, or I think we could really, our skills together could be really helpful. But a story of when this happened to me is that when I was networking in that first year, I met a woman who was a negotiation expert. And she was a money coach, and she wanted to do a workshop series on how to negotiate in money conversations. And because I was talking about presentation skills, and we got on really well, we were like, great, let's partner up and do something. But the reason, even though she was a brilliant coach, but the reason our partnership didn't work is because back then I just had no idea who I was really trying to work with. Yes. And so this partnership led to, I think we had 2 people at a workshop that we did, and it certainly didn't get me any closer to getting more corporate workshops, which is what I was trying to do. And it was just a total red herring, and it was because I didn't have the clarity of what it was I was trying to do. And I think if you don't have that, if you're not really confident and clear on it, then you can spend so much time building partnerships with the people that just ultimately aren't really going to help you grow your business.
As you're describing this, Grace, what I am like totally like, I've done events and they went, with somebody else, and that just didn't work. But one of the things that I have to remind myself is that failure is the teacher, honesty is your lesson, and clarity is your gift. And yes, thank you. Yeah. When you understand, like, it comes in stages. Okay, it fell apart, it didn't work. That's the majority of stuff you're going to do isn't maybe going to always hit and go. But the honesty is going to give you that lesson to look at yourself, maybe your choices, and then you're going to have to figure out where's the gift in all this. And that, I think, is really brilliant, because I have met I've met so many business owners and people just in relationships that are just like, oh, I tried so hard, it didn't work out. And then they are just kind of like out of it for, whether it's a couple of days, a few weeks, few months, like it hits them hard, and they just got to sit with it. And I think if you understand that failure is a teacher instead of, a complete smash to your entire identity, then it's like, oh, I think there's some room here for improvement.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, do you find that people get overwhelmed, or are they just more afraid when it comes to networking, or is it a mixture of both, or could it be something else?
It's often a mixture of both. I work with some people who even the thought of putting themselves out there and going into a room full of people where they don't know anyone is really scary. And it is, you've got to put yourself out there on the line. And if you're someone who isn't really comfortable meeting lots of new people, that in itself is already a hurdle. Yes. When it comes to feeling overwhelmed, that is something I think what people really struggle with. It's not necessarily that networking itself is overwhelming, but what feels difficult that I speak to people about is how to explain the value of what they do in a way that makes it immediately easy for someone to get it, so that the right person hears them and wants to continue the conversation and is curious and says, tell me more. the other part that people struggle to know kind of how to approach, that can become a bit overwhelming, is how to follow up in the right way. Because a lot of the people that I speak to, they don't want to be pushy. They don't want to send messages. They don't want to spam people. They don't want to send messages, and nor should they, or should they have to. But there's a real nervousness around that. And then people sometimes don't know, if you've just had a great conversation with someone, but you didn't really get to talking about business, people don't know how to follow up and what to say. And so when that part doesn't happen, then the networking itself kind of feels like it wasn't a good investment of time.
So I love that you pointed out a major hole in the follow-up, not so much of like, did you do it, but the way you're doing it and how you communicate the follow-up is where things obviously go right down the toilet, because then it does become like another suspected AI message. So that's another thing with networking. Now there's lots of AI platforms that will generate leads for you, meaning they'll be like, hey, you should talk to so-and-so. And you're like, but what I have noticed is that I have to be micro specific with an AI agent to tell them exactly who I want to talk to. And it'll still run wild and give me something that I'm like, what? You said they do this? There's nothing in their profile to indicate they do that. Well, they just started. I don't want to talk about somebody who doesn't have a business. That's not what I do. And yet, how would the AI know? But it's like the AI comes from us. So these are normal questions that humans have. So yeah. Okay. So do you find that money can be a problem when it comes to building a network strategy?
Yeah, so I get asked quite often, should I be spending money on networking? Should I be going to paid events? And
yeah,
my answer is always yes, if you are serious about using networking as a way of generating new leads for your business. And the reason for that is that even though there are a lot of free networking events out there, generally speaking, the people that go to the free events are not necessarily going to be the kind of clients that might choose to invest in your service, particularly if you have a high ticket offer, which most of the people that I work with do. But that can be a barrier to some people, particularly people that are just starting out in business. When you're new in business, you don't have a huge amount of revenue to invest, and also you don't know where to put your money first. And there's so many different things you could invest in. So it can be something that people find daunting. There's also kind of the other end of the scale, which is that networking can become really expensive. You can easily spend like 500-600 quid a month on events and things if you wanted to. And if you're doing that, if you're investing a lot of money in networking and you're not seeing your return on investment, then it does become basically just a load of really expensive chats. So that's why, what I think is a great approach is that you invest in networking so that you're in kind of really high quality rooms, and you learn how to have a strategy so that you make sure you're getting that money back and some, so that it becomes something that you're investing in rather than money you're just kind of throwing away for something that was nice but didn't make a difference.
Yeah, and there's also this other phenomenon which is very common. So I've seen this happen in every kind of networking event I've ever been to. So like a business, a BNI, to like exclusive women's groups, to money groups, is that there are certain people in the room who will meet with you. We often call these the givers, right? And they will make time on their calendar. They will see you, and most likely they will convert eventually. If they have enough of a sales strategy, they will figure out how to convert. Because I know that's the big thing in BNI. You better get the most amount of calls. You better talk to the right number of people, because you got to post your revenue by the next meeting. Like you had better work it, right? And you better know your sales, and you have to be invited to get to that level. So when I see this stuff, I think about what I'm seeing with so many people is that they're not even like anywhere near that. They're like, I try to talk to 2 or 3 people, say a month in the group, and then I'm busy doing other things. And I'm just not, like there's just the energy starts to drop. There's just less. And I'm like, if all you know is that you need to find the right strategy with the right givers, then I would think that would be like clue number 1. Like find the people who are going to help you and help them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because what I see a lot of times is people will say like, oh, I really want to get into, like say it's a very posh networking group, or it's a big one, it's popular, it's this kind of thing, or this is my event, this is my conference. And then they go and then they're just like, oh, well, this person sells widgets for, like you said, like low amount, all across the board. They don't have any high level offers. And I'm not saying that your audiences can't connect, and I'm not saying it's terrible to do like a referral partnership when it comes to, or affiliate fee, and when it might continue doing online, conversations. But what I see is that people get stuck in like, oh, well, I only market to people who are making 5,000-10,000 or quid a month, and they just don't do it. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, sometimes people get stuck on the dollar amount or the value amount instead of the relationships. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, because at the end of the day, you don't know, none of us know, and it's not our place to make assumptions about how much people have to invest in whatever, their business, their service, any form of help. So I think that the attitude, when I was talking before about not going to free networking meetings because it might not be the right people, it's more based on the value and the attitude rather than like the bank balance, right? And so I think that's why it's so, again, it comes back to clarity. Like, you've got to really know who it is that you want to work with, like have some real clarity. So for example, I'm working with a woman at the moment who's a house declutterer. And which
love
really,
this.
It's really, really cool. And we were doing some work around her messaging to prepare for her. She's going to do like 2 months worth of like really intense networking. So we were preparing her messaging, and she said, she was saying, oh, the kind of usual types of things. Oh, I could like help lots of different people, and I've helped some people at this. And I was like, well, we've got to get really, really clear. And actually, when we drilled down into it, it was very clear that her ideal client is ADHD mums who have kids that are primary school age.
Nice.
And as soon as she worked out that, she could then do some very specific research around which networking meetings that she's going to go to. So, for example, she signed up to one that is for working mums who have got kids in school. And that's perfect. And that's a really good example of being strategic and getting in front of those people that are the ones that you want to meet. And I know that sounds obvious, but I think, again, it's why it's so important for you to be clear on who those people are, because when you can make a choice. And maybe you have to go to a few networking meetings to figure out which one is the right room, and to meet some people and to sense the relationships in the room. But if you have that clarity first, it's going to make it so much easier, and then that's going to be what gets you the greater return on the networking.
Yes. And so here it is. I'm hearing this woman's story. I don't know who she is, and I already have a money idea for her. Like, this is how like money works. It's constantly moving in everyone's brain. So my first thought is like, well, teachers have all kinds, they get bombarded with all kinds of questions. Same thing with administration. Is she able to do a free talk at the school for the parents, not necessarily for the kids, but if she did do it for the kids, that would also might be really interesting. If she could do like a conversation for the school. And that, of course, I don't know how they do it, in the UK, Britain, all that good stuff, but it couldn't hurt to try, because I can't imagine if they were having a parent teacher conference, all that stuff, that they were like, oh yeah, and we use this lady, and then she can come in and, give a quick chat and say, here's some ideas, just like generally what to do, like the 5 number 1 things that you could do to brighten up your household and get it a little more together, or not.
I mean, also what you've just described is like a really great example of a strategic partnership, right?
Yes.
So when she's networking, she could not only, sometimes when you're networking, you don't just have to look for people that are your potential clients, but are the people that can get you closer to your clients. And a teacher is a really good example of that.
Yeah, or their principal, or whoever's doing that thing, whoever's I know in America they have parent teacher conference or associations, and I don't know if they have that there, but I assure you there are parents who are helping out at that school. So there are connections there. So that was my immediate thought. I'm like, well, what schools are in our neighborhood? All right, so final question. I think it's really a good one, but what do you think networking is the best way to grow your business over other methods? Like, why do you think networking is the best thing?
Yes, I love this question. So So many people that I speak to tell me things like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to have to spend more time on social media. I don't get it. My posts aren't performing, etc. And that is one of the reasons I love networking. So if I can give you an example, yesterday I was at a networking meeting, and I talked to the room full of people, as in I was one of the people who was up on stage giving a pitch. And off the back of that meeting, I think it was about 2 hours long, 9 people signed up to my free workshop. The day before, I posted a video on my LinkedIn that had 17 impressions. Not even, and that's just a video that I've put up that's talking about networking, and so I think that for me is the biggest difference. Networking is so powerful and it's so immediate because people get to meet you and you are your business at the end of the day.
True.
And when you go in and you make the right invitation, it is so quick because you're building trust and you're building relationships and you're in control. You're in control of what you say and how you show up and the rooms that you get into. And you literally have a captive audience. 20 people are there to listen to each other for 2 hours. Whereas if you compare that to social media, we're completely out of control. The algorithms do what they want and we have to just play to their tune. And it takes a lot longer for someone to build trust with the content that they see you post online than it does if they just meet you and have one conversation with you. So for me, the humanness, the relationship building of networking is so much more powerful than the online ways of growing your business. And that's why I love it. And it's also why I really, really want to help more people get better results from it, because I think, it's such a powerful marketing strategy.
Brilliant. All right. How can everyone reach you, Grace?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, Grace Fogarty. Anyone that's watching, feel free to drop me a DM. I always love chatting to people about any networking questions that you have. And I'm also running a workshop series this month, which I'm super excited for. It's called From Compliments to Consistent Leads, and it's a really great fit for anyone who is going networking and often has the experience of talking about your business and then someone saying, oh, that sounds interesting, but that doesn't turn into action and no one buys from you, even though they're telling you what you do sounds good. So we're going to take everything that you're doing right now, we're going to figure out why it's not working, and then I'm going to teach the whole networking system that I use in my business, that I teach my clients, so that anyone at that workshop can go away and start getting more people booking calls from networking meetings straight away.
Okay, I love that. I love the practical. Let's get it done. Let's jump in it. Okay. Well, everyone, this is Grace Fogarty. My name is Jeannie Doherty. I am the money whisperer for couples and entrepreneurs, and I'm so glad we finally got to have a business conversation because there's so many partnerships out there.
100%.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Thanks for having me.